Hello, I'm Reverend Eric Strader, pastor for administration and worship here at Bozeman United Methodist Church.
And I'm Reverend Amy Strader, pastor for congregation and community engagement, also at Bozeman United Methodist Church. A few weeks ago, I visited a website advertising for an event for pastors that apparently hadn't been updated in quite a while. I nearly spit my coffee when I read the first line, "Preachers, we are on the other side of a collective trauma." If only we were on the other side of this whole pandemic thing.
There were so many changes, transformations, and experiments in 2021, and this community of faith faithfully continued to adapt to the needs of this unique time.
Speaking of changing, is this whole cowboy thing gonna stick around?
Without a doubt.
If I'm being honest, it was hard for me to remember what even happened in 2021. As images began to come to mind, it was even harder to decipher what was 2020 and what was 2021. As I began to sort out what was what and when was when, I was in fact filled with energy as I recalled the ways that community mattered in such a time of chaos. Although worship continued to be a bit in flux, there were some wonderful programmatic highlights, including Drive-Through Ashes, Lent boxes, Palm Sunday with Living Waters, welcoming people back to the building, a pet blessing, Cowboy Church, and a beautiful honoring of our 50-plus members. Small groups are always a powerful way for connection. In addition to our faithful men's group, UMW, and Sunday morning discussion group and Bible study, people also gathered together for community in a disciple Bible study, a couples retreat, parents check-in, and a Women of BUMC hiking group. Nurture Care continued to be at the top of our priority list. Our Stephen Ministry program has a new leadership team and continued its powerful one-on-one care for those walking through times of crisis. A regular emphasis on mental health continued to be lifted up as a critically important focus. The discipleship team pivoted to focus on putting systems and processes in place to ensure that no one falls through the cracks. And we have seen that these ministry teams have been a tremendous way to involve new members to our church. It was also exciting to see Ann Dickensheets have such a tremendous success reigniting our senior ministry programs. Oh yeah, and who could forget when we hugged the hospital?
We love you, healthcare workers!
Children and youth are always such a critical part of our discipleship ministry. Youth ministry and youth group is a safe place for young people to be themselves. Mission trips allow them to venture out and be in service in a different corner of God's world. Family camp and VBS are always such a blast. Children not only learned about, but experienced God's love in tangible ways. It was such a blessing this year to form a children's leadership board. This group of children plans their own events, including a service Saturday, and they even led worship. Abby Thompson's passion to empower children is unmatched. Under the leadership of the one and only Vicki Wilkinson, our missions team pressed on with our church's emphasis on missions in the world, leading our church to be engaged in supporting the most vulnerable in our community, state, and around the globe. It was powerful to see worship and missions come together with our home tiles that raised funds for the tiny homes here in the Gallatin Valley, as well as continuing our connection with the Hayes Lodgepole schools when we delivered books for the library and hosted a teacher appreciation luncheon. The Social Action Team, or SJAT for short, really came together in helping us continue to stand with those on the margins.
Well, Amy gets to talk about all the exciting ministry events that happened in 2021, and I get to talk about the numbers. But I love numbers, and the numbers are just as exciting. In 2021, the church budget ended the year with a surplus of $556. This was all due to your giving and utilizing our existing building space to maximize alternative sources of revenue. Way to go, church. Our membership did decline this year from 496 to 436, and we lost 12 giving units. But we added 6 new giving units, and your pledges increased for us to be able to extend our budget even further in 2022. Thank you for your generosity and your commitment to this mission. The Child Learning Center reduced its deficit in 2021 by 90%, and the last 6 months of the year was self-sustainable. What a difference that has made in our finances and the health of this ministry to children in our community. This year, they will work to expand the center to our full 64 children capacity with some grants we expect from the state. Our missional giving in 2021 was a total of $124,000 going back into the world. And this included paying 100% of our mission shares to the United Methodist Church. Your church leadership also invested the endowment funds in a new strategy this year, and that strategy increased our investments by $50,000. This will be essential to our future work on building improvement and building our endowment. I would just let you know, in the next 20 years, $18 billion in baby boomer estates will be passed on to the next generation. And we want to make sure that your church is remembered in your estate planning. Administratively, the leadership teams implemented a COVID ministry plan and then a COVID emergence plan. And this plan was updated and revised and updated more and revised again as things changed. The personnel team continued to work on the policies and procedures that are both in line with our values and the legal requirements of our state. This isn't fun work, but it's vitally important. The trustees conducted an accessibility audit, which led us to install an ADA door at the Olive entrance. And they also oversaw the $50,000 update to the sanctuary with new sounds and lights and a video system. As we turn to our strategic work in 2022, here are some trends we believe will be influencing our work this year. We will begin to see growth beyond Sunday morning. We will see the expansion of small groups and missional engagement away from the Sunday morning time. We're still going to be connected here in worship, but we know that we will be expanding that. BUMC is a little unique that we are still seeing visitors each week. I want to be clear, that's not happening everywhere. We've tapped into something in the Gallatin Valley, but we know there's going to be a change in how that engagement happens. Innovation will continue. Hybridity is here to stay, but so is innovation. We aren't done. We can never be done adapting to the needs of the community and the way technology connects us together. Online will become more about information, and in-person will become our focus on transformation. This particular shift in our framework of hybridity is going to focus on engagement and how we direct people into deeper connections with one another. Continue to ride the emotional, mental roller coaster. COVID is not over, and we will continue to ride this ride together. We will be not your ordinary church. We're inviting each other to recognize that we are engaging people from the community who are looking for a progressive message for their lives, and they are willing to forgo their preferences of worship style and engagement in order to share in this vision for our world. These, then, are the strategic directions for 2022. And so these are the strategic directions for 2022. Our administrative priorities are to live into the vision and purpose of BUMC, to launch an endowment stewardship campaign, review the use of the church property and increase revenue and missional opportunities, to develop our safety and security plan, alongside developing a replacement master plan for property improvement, to develop a team to explore a Gallatin Gateway home church site, and continue to evaluate the Living Waters partnership.
And so these then are our discipleship priorities. We'll assess the ministry needs and align our discipleship committees accordingly. The nurture care team has been built back up, and we will deploy them out to care for members. Our visitor and member follow-up will continue to improve, as well as we will focus on ministry across all generations. We look forward to developing a team to evaluate launching a Spanish-speaking community of Methodists right here in the Gallatin Valley. As Pastor Eric mentioned, we'll continue to innovate hybrid ministry. We asked the staff to share their ministry highlights this year, and here is what they said. Ann Dickensheets says, the first day that we started work in the church in Belize, there were 25 people up on the roof, all working together. Even the dozen or so children making bricks for walls. Meanwhile, in the outdoor kitchen over a wood-burning stove, the women were making a meal. God's work is being done in that little church in Belize.
Jenna Lawver says it was the installation of the new video live streaming equipment. 2020 was spent on solving problem after problem and repairs and making do with equipment that was patched together. This new equipment reduced the stress of our staff on Sunday morning by 99.9%. She is grateful for this investment in technology.
Lynn Kirtley shares new friendship with a person in the church and a shared interest in electric biking.
Mara Hodges shared being surrounded by people who love me for me. 2021 was one of those years in life where your support system becomes crystal clear and you know you found your people.
My ministry highlight would be ministering to new people that after having tried other churches have found that our community is a safe, welcoming, inclusive church home. When I visit with them, I see our values take on flesh.
My highlight is we did not retreat in the midst of challenge. We adapted and continued to be God's love to this world.
We want to close by thanking you as the community committed to a ministry of Methodists in the Valley. Without your support, your love, your presence, none of this would have been possible.
And we want to thank our dedicated and amazing staff. Here's our pastoral ministry team and a picture of the whole staff from Figgy Pudding. Please take a moment this month to thank them for their work with us. They definitely go above and beyond to serve in the world.